podcast is part of the 80s Ruled Network. Visit the 80s Ruled on Facebook for more 1980s awesomeness.
I love doing Facebook Lives because you see like a lot of people jump on. And then within 30 seconds, half those people are gone. Like what happened in 30 seconds? Like what were you hoping to see?
Oh, a live stream. Oh, it's this.
Yeah. These people again. I mean, what is it? It's not, it's not like a fight. It's not a sporting event. There's no nudity. I mean, what are you hoping for?
Maybe later.
Please let us know. Oh, what?
I don't know. I don't know what's in this. It could be anything.
Getting nude. Oh, yeah. Kat, do I need to untape that thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name's Will. And joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hey, friends and co-hosts. Good to see you.
And in addition to his co-hosting duties here, John also hosts his very own podcast, Gen X Grown Up. Oh, he's all Gen X Grown Up now. Hey, by the way, we're streaming live right now on Facebook. We do this once a month, at least right for now. We usually chat. We invite folks to chime in during our news stories, etc. We'll share your comments on the show here. Follow us on Facebook to find out how you can participate. Tonight, we're giving away Diane Franklin's new book, The Excellent Comedy of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s, a.k.a. the Better Off Dead movie tribute book. Next month in October, so if you missed this one, in October, we're giving away Ralph Macchio's new book, Waxing On, The Karate Kid and Me. We actually invited Ralph to be on the show here with us, but he's busy promoting the show on other podcasts, probably.
He said, Will, you can wax off, is what he said.
But his publicist his publisher said, hey, we'll send books to, a book to someone, though, if you want to give a book away. So we're going to be doing that.
That's okay.
Pretty cool. Hey, on today's show, we're going to be speaking with Bradley Scott. He's the lead singer of Emarosa. Emarosa has been slowly releasing 1980s inspired singles for presumably a forthcoming album, we can only imagine here. And earlier this year, they released two singles so far, Preach, and then just in July, they added Attention. And we'll talk about it, Bradley, but Preach sounds like something straight out of the late 80s, right? It's like a...
Yes,
it does.
Yes, it does.
It reminds me of like a Bobby Brown kind of thing, but it's really good.
Yep.
And then this week, on September 15th, Emarosa is going to release another single, Stay. Another one. It sounds straight out of the 1980s. This one has some saxophone in it.
But we've already heard it.
Oh, yeah. Shh. Right.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely good.
I love how you made him sound like a ninja. He's been slowly releasing 80s sounding songs.
Systematically releasing songs into the wild.
Right under our noses. Nobody's noticed.
Oh, hey, Tim. Tim says he just bought Better Off Dead on Bluray.
Oh,
one of his favorites.
Nice. I better get over to these comments. See what's going on.
Oh, Jacqueline says
$2.
She crushed on John Cusack big time.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas, at least you don't have flock of seagulls here. That's what I'm growing towards, Thomas. Look, I could.
It's almost there.
Yeah, and it'll be white like that guy. I mean, that guy had such blonde hair, right?
By the time it's long enough, it'll be the right color.
Yeah. Hey, before my beard too. Hey, before we're going to speak with Bradley, though, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media, including why won't Dave go ahead and jump already? Might as well jump. Whether our need for speed has been satisfied, how more than just Axel's returning to Beverly Hills, and how Cobra Kai is expanding beyond season 5. All right, there you go. Okay, and there's time codes in the show notes if you want to skip around. I guess that's it, right? Oh, Kat, did you want to say anything?
Yeah. You each have something to open.
Yeah.
We're going to do
What's that about?
Unboxing.
Yeah, so...
I made something for you guys, but it's not the same things.
Oh.
You made something? Like handcrafted made something for us?
Yes, sort of.
Sort
Definitely My hands were involved.
Okay.
All right. I think John's a little ahead of me. I got to crack this box open.
Yeah, you got to get your silver parcel out there.
I gotta get to my
We both
taco.
had a package, but then I have the package.
All right. Okay. I've got my Choco Taco.
Oh, there we go. You got yours. Yeah.
Hey, Kat was definitely thinking about a podcast when she wrapped this.
Yeah. Crinkle, crinkle. Little ASMR on 1980s now.
Sheer coincidence.
So should we open this or?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and open.
First, let me start by saying, Kat, thank you.
You're welcome.
And continue by saying, Kat, I'm terrible at faking good reactions to gifts I don't like. So if it looks like I like it, I do. And if it looks like I don't, I'm still thankful. So
I'm excited either way.
Cool.
I'm so
putting
excited.
that out there.
John,
Will got his.
I've opened mine already.
Should I? Okay, all right.
John, what are you doing?
I was explaining myself.
I'm just so
Go
excited
on.
for you for this. Like,
It feels cassette-y.
John's looks gigantic, by the way.
Why, thank
Right?
you.
I would have sworn it was a VHS tape
It
or
is.
Betamax tape. Okay,
It
yeah.
is.
I got one here too. Let me guess what John's is.
Do it.
John's is 3 hours. Okay, 90 minutes, right? 45 minutes aside of
Yep.
nothing but CB chatter.
You're so close.
Truckers talking.
so close.
Big rig hits. Can we get it up there? Can we see? Look at that.
That's it here. Oh, big rig hits.
Courtesy of
Okay, so you
Kat.
got your CW McCall, and that's the end of the list.
It's not all C.W. McCall. It's variety.
Tons.
of
Look at
various
this.
artists. Here's the album.
Oh,
Oh,
The vinyl.
Kat.
Oh,
Bless you, my sweetheart.
that's
Wow.
probably a record you had already, right?
oh yes. Oh, I had this.
We
I
were
absolutely
talking
had this.
about it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And I was
you're-
super duper thrilled when I got the hint that John did not have this. And then I knew what to do.
Oh,
If you're a
okay.
first-time listener, Kat and I are both the children of truck drivers, truck driving
Yes.
families. So we have a connection that Will never understand.
Yeah, I was going to say, I am not the child of a truck driver, so I have no connection to either of you.
That's not what I
none
said.
whatsoever. Now,
not
John,
what
what
I
about
said.
the other one? Do you recognize the other one?
Oh,
Side
is
B?
it 2 full albums? Oh, let's see.
Yes.
Oh.
I have to tell you something silly. Actually, it was big rig hits on both sides, just like a loop.
Okay.
But then
Yeah. You just
I
flip it over,
remembered
start
I
to do-
had this.
Oh, what is this?
This is
Oh, that's the one we were talking about.
Cletus
Yeah.
Maggard and the Citizens Band?
Yep.
this was a new acquisition, a gift to me.
Yeah. And that's the one that has White Knight on it, right?
It does. It does have white knight.
Oh. So side A, by the way, Breaker 19. You can't
Okay.
see this. Side B says, see you on the flip-flop. Kat, you are a thoughtful broad. Thank you so much.
Had she sent that to me, I wouldn't have known what to do. I was 19 and flip flops. So mine here says 12 distressing steps on side A. I'm sorry, 12 distressing skips. 12 distressing skips. I don't know if that improved it, Kat,
I have to apologize, Will.
because you made
Okay.
John's first and you ran out of ideas by the time you got to mine.
Okay,
Yeah.
so opposite. I've been trying to make you a mixtape
Yes.
since
Since we
last
talked
November.
about mixtapes, yes, a year ago.
October. Yes. And it's been quite the journey of hurdles to overcome,
Yep.
which I will not bore anyone with at this moment. But I really have to apologize because this is not the finest quality mixtape
Oh my
I've
God.
ever made.
Can you imagine? Hey, I got you something. It's shit. You're not going to like it.
I hope you enjoy it. It's
There
not
you
very
go.
good.
You're going to hate this. Here, take it.
There's even a
Cat.
song on there that I. Never mind. Okay.
That's why it's 12 distressing skips, because 12 of the songs on here I'm going to want to skip.
No, there's 3 songs that have skips.
Oh.
Ah,
Because these
on
are
the
off
vinyl,
of your
there was a
record, your
skip.
45 collection.
Yes, they're from my
got it.
45s
Okay.
that used to not have any issues, and then some of them did. But I was really stubborn, and I just
Yeah.
It just makes it
included them anyway.
authentic. It makes it clearly
Yes.
coming off of vinyl. We know she didn't cheat and rip it off of Spotify.
Oh, I love that
right?
crackly sound. That's fine. I
It's
love that.
legit.
You're gonna
Put the
hear it.
needle on the record.
And the second side says it's skip free, but mildly
Oh.
warbly. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Oh,
Did you say the name of the tape?
The name. Oh no, I didn't. Better 1980s now than ever. AKA
oh.
Selections for Will from Cat's 45 collection with a K, of course.
Yeah.
Very Very cool.
Finish him.
Oh, yeah, these are all great songs. Reflex,
Spelled
of
with a K.
course. Let's see what Modern English is on here. In excess. I see your parameters for curation. 45s only. Songs that I thought you could at least tolerate. 3 80s songs only. Kat, thank you so much. That's really sweet of you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And I've got my
You're
boombox back there, so
I know you do.
maybe we can play some songs when we do our thing next week.
That will be fun.
We could hear
And
the
I'm sure
warbliness and skips.
you can hear the warble.
The warble.
And I was pretty sure John would have a way to play a cassette tape.
10-4.
And yes, and he'll thank you on CB later. Hey,
Copy
hi,
that.
Laura. There's another Laura. Hey, Laura. All right. Hey, thanks, Kat. Let's get caught up on 1980s news. All right, we can do that. Sure. Oh,
Let's
yep.
do that.
Got some things here too. Okay. Hey. First up on 1980s news, per the Van Halen news desk, David Lee Roth has re-recorded Van Halen's Panama. And the internet collectively says, why? I'll say that.
I just shrugged.
So let's just take it back. This has got to be the final time. Please. Remember in October when David Lee Roth announced he was throwing in the shoes? He literally said, I'm retiring. We assumed him and he was retiring. Well, now I'm thinking he may have literally been tossing footwear because the guy will not go away. Now, we've heard, my journey with this has been, I felt really sad he was retiring. End of an era. I love David Lee Roth, era of Van Halen. Sammy Hagar, Van Halen, I love a lot of their songs too. Never got to see them in, live. Then, Eddie passed away. So then I got excited when they talked about different configurations for maybe getting the quote band back together. None of that ever gelled. I mean, different stories from different people, depending on who you ask what was necessarily happening. We don't even know. At some point, Alex Van Halen chimed in, Wolfgang chimed in. I think they asked Michael Anthony. There were a bunch of other musicians who had nothing to do with Van Halen, but were fans that were going to be a part of it. Never materialized. And since then, Roth actually released a song titled Pointing at the Moon, followed by Nothing Could Have Stopped Us Back Then Anyway, which was a clear tribute to Van Halen.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the status of this 67-year-old frontman is more confusing now than ever. Because he just released a new, quote, studio live version of Van Halen's Panama. So, and if you're wondering how this came to be, well, the Van Halen news desk, of course, is the source to find out. And they wrote that, quote, on May 3rd, the Roth Band went into Henson Recording Studio and recorded 14 songs in 2 hours.
Wow.
It's all live and it's Van Halen free. No samples, no auto-tune, end quote. Instead of Van Halen, Roth was joined by session guitarist Al Estrada, bassist Ryan Wheeler, and drummer Francis Valentino.
14 songs in 2 hours sounds like all good stuff.
Yeah, quality.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well,
There's got to be
that was
great-
kind of rough. Do over? Nah, keep going.
yeah.
we got 14 songs to get
It's
through.
probably kind of like my mixtape for Will. It's
It's that thing. Do you want it fast, good, or cheap? And he said
two.
fast, obviously.
And cheap.
But,
I'm guessing.
So, look, I have a clip of this to play for you guys so you can hear what he's up to.
Oh, good.
All right, here you
Good,
go. So
good.
here is David Lee Roth's re-recorded, quote, studio live version of Panama. Oh, he's adding some more
There we go.
screams in there.
Oh, yes. Oh,
We have to watch him now.
let's watch him.
Okay.
What's that sound? Here she comes, foot tapping top down. Hot shell, biting up the avenue. Model citizen, zero discipline. Don't you know she's coming?
Oh, I don't like those harmonies. All right, that's plenty. That's more than enough.
There's an interesting effect in there of his
Yeah.
voice not being faster. Like, I feel like he's not quite matching the speed of the song.
You can hear, and I can hear the age in his voice just a little. I mean, I don't mean anything negative by that. I mean, it's not peak Roth.
Yeah.
Like you could tell he's
Right.
got another couple decades on him. Not, it's as expected, but still he's got some energy.
Yes.
Certainly, yeah.
True
For his
that.
age, he's got, he sounds great considering
Sure.
Yeah.
so many other vocalists, contemporary vocalists of his that, they can't hit the notes anymore, so
Right.
to speak.
But I feel like he was drawling it out a little bit. It was like he was working hard to stay in tempo there.
Oh, I see.
Well, it's David Lee Roth. We call that showboating.
Yeah.
He said, "Watch me," and then he pranced around, and no one could see him because it's just the audio recording.
Look, and now, no shoes. Yeah, because he's pitched them.
Well, someone get those back.
I'm gonna need those.
I don't know. My thought is maybe he's not getting the. Other artists have done this. So as far as what their cut is for copyright, they don't. Sometimes they don't get anything. We're talking about. I think Def Leppard dealt with this. When music started going digital. Starting 15, 20 years ago now on Apple. I believe they didn't have the rights to those songs to be sold that way. So they weren't out there. Or if they were out there, they weren't getting any money. So what did they do? They re-recorded them themselves to sound exactly like what they had done for the most part. You could tell there's a difference. So that when folks buy those, they would then get some of the cut. I think ultimately the record company wound up releasing the originals, and now people probably buy those, and Def Leppard's getting screwed over. I don't know.
Which is why he made the point of like it's totally hail and free. Right? It's like all original. Even though it's the same composition, but I'm going to put woos in different places this time around.
Yeah. So I guess David may get a bigger cut. He's still got a cut in the Van Halen's and Eddie's estate. To what extent Michael Anthony gets anything, I don't know. But he might get a little bit more now because he owns the actual production itself, the mechanical royalties, the physical, creation of this. So that's the only thing I could figure he's doing. But otherwise, why?
I think David Lee Roth's probably making rent, though. I mean, why would go through all this effort?
Right.
I mean, do you think, is he destitute?
Well, that's true. That's a good point. Maybe he's gearing up to take this band on tour and he wants to show.
Who knows? Maybe so.
It's like a proof of concept.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if it was a financial. I mean, it's financial, but I mean, it's not like, I've got to do it or I'll lose my, lose my boat or lose my whatever. It's probably okay.
Yeah. Lose my boat.
I'm wondering if anybody.
His house is fine. Maybe his third
showboat.
Anybody have any thoughts about on the stream here? Whether or not should David Lee Roth finally retire? I mean, come on, make some space for some other folks. I never thought I would be hoping for him to go away. Starting about 3 or 4 months ago, I was like, enough of this guy already.
Oh, Kelly says, he doesn't need to do it anymore.
Yeah. He doesn't need to do it, and it's not necessary.
Yes. All right. Hey, in other 1980s news, Top Gun Maverick producer addresses the likelihood of more sequels. So after waiting more than 35 years for a sequel we didn't know we wanted, audiences were delighted to see Pete Maverick return to the cockpit in Top Gun Maverick. I hadn't realized, and it's probably not surprised to either of you guys, but it's the highest grossing movie so far of this year.
It broke $1 billion after like 8 weeks or something, didn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Fast. It was quick.
Record smashing, So, of course, folks, maybe cynical folks and hopeful folks assume or want a sequel. So assume that Hollywood would probably just want to continue to leverage this franchise to get more money out of it. And there's some folks who probably just genuinely want that too. Well, in an interview with the Radio Times, veteran producer Jerry Bruckheimer, who was instrumental in bringing the film back because he also produced the original, responded to the question of other films in the series. And he said, quote, "I can't tell you what the future is going to bring. If you'd asked me in 86, do you think you'll have a sequel out in a few years? I'd have said maybe, but it took 30-something years to do it." So that doesn't really rule out the possibility of another film, but it doesn't mean that we would definitely see one within the next 30 years either.
Right. No guarantees.
Seems that, like, to me, if they do one, they probably want to strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
And it also seems to me if they do one, they get one freebie now on the goodwill of Maverick.
Okay.
But it felt like a lightning in the bottle kind of film. It's like it was the perfect combination of a little nostalgia, a little something new, a little, it's like a great wedding, something borrowed, something blue. It was just all the right stuff. And you can't beat that same drum again. So I'm not sure. Again, you'll get one more for sure, because I'll go see it because Maverick was so good. But I mean, it makes financial sense to make one more to get the money out of it. But I bet that's it if they do it, because you're not going to get that same magic again, I'm sure.
No, I wouldn't wait too long.
Well, yeah.
Because the people that love it are going to die before another 30 years, I won't be here to see it. Right?
Exactly.
Well, to that end, regarding the success of the new film, Bruckheimer admitted that he was slightly taken aback by how popular the film ultimately proved, especially with younger people, because, quote, "Initially we were worried that it was mostly for an older audience, but we were wrong. And the kids, as young as they get, came to see this movie multiple times, and they're still seeing it multiple times," end quote. So, I would see, wait another 30 years, we're going to be dead. But
I guess those kids will like it.
Yeah.
They'll think it's part 2. They won't know that Maverick was the second one already.
Right, exactly.
It's Maverick 2. Woohoo! No, Top Gun 3.
Well, and it took so long to convince Tom Cruise to do this in the first place. I don't think you're convincing him to do another one. No.
Yeah.
It took it was a nexus of all the right things, including him and Jerry and I think Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote a lot of Tom Cruise movies and directed him in some films.
Kilmer was in a position where he could be in it.
Kilmer, yeah.
Spoiler
Right.
alert. I think we're outside of that range now.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. In fact, it's now available to own digitally, so you don't even have to leave your home to see it anymore. No, Kelly, you can't go.
Oh, no.
Kelly says, unfortunately,
No.
I have to go. I can't watch this and make cheesecake at the same time. Yes, you can, Kelly.
Kat is making cheesecake right now.
Oh,
Cat is.
absolutely. And brownies.
She's stirring under the camera line.
Kelly's going to mail us her cheesecake, too.
Oh, well then by all means, get to cheesecaking. I'm going to look for a silver bag full of cheesecake next. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hey, just in a few minutes here, we're going to be giving away this copy of Diane Franklin's new book. It's really easy to win it, too. Okay, hey, in other 1980s news, as we learned from screenwriter David Stokes on Twitter, more than just Axel Foley may be returning to Beverly Hills.
I saw this.
So, we just discussed this a couple of weeks ago, that there was going to be another sequel to Beverly Hills. It was set to start shooting in Los Angeles, and it is production is underway now. And Eddie Murphy, of course, we knew was once again going to be playing the lead character there of Axel Foley. Well, you'll recall that in 1984, the first film saw Axel travel to California to track down the killers of his friend. And once there, because he was out of his jurisdiction, he was forced to team up with 2 reluctant detectives from the Beverly Hills Police Department. If you don't remember, those 2 reluctant detectives were William Billy Rosewood, played by Judge Reinhold, and John Taggart, played by John Ashton. While Reinhold and Ashton returned for Beverly Hills Cop 2, only Reinhold appeared in Beverly Hills Cop 3. Well, the pair was now just spotted on the set of the new film, which is now known as Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley.
Yay.
Cool, I guess.
I mean, that's fine. It's, the more you bring back, the better.
Yep.
Because if you're going to bother making a sequel, it's because of the nostalgia and to continue that storyline.
Yeah.
So the more people you can get back, and I think it's interesting. The Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley follows the Top Gun model. Top Gun. Who's the main guy?
Oh.
Beverly Hills Cop. Who's the main guy? Right? That's why Fletch is called Fletch. Fletch, I think maybe.
Fletch.
Fletch.
Yeah, it should be. Then it should be Foley then, I guess, right? It's just his last name, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You're right.
He doesn't have a call
Oh,
sign, so
okay.
they go by the whole name.
It did remind me of something. You're right. Oh, you're right. His name's not Pete Maverick. His name's Pete Mitchell. Didn't I say his name was Pete Maverick earlier?
I don't think so. No, it's okay.
Yeah, I did. I
It's
said
because you haven't had your
they're
cheesecake
delighted to
yet.
see
You'd be
Pete
feeling
Maverick return to the cockpit. All right, editor, add this. Pete Mitchell. There you go. Let's see if that works out. Anyway, look, these guys are older gentlemen now. It would be cool, to the extent that they have any real function in the story. Maybe that might be taking it a little too far. I'd like to see some new folks, but like John suggested, maybe some of that connective tissue would be nice. Along those lines, Paul Reiser is also expected to reprise his role as Detective Jeffrey Friedman. No word whether or not Bronson Pinchot will be there.
Oh,
Surge.
yes.
Who? Kat, we've told you, and I'm hoping you're sticking to this. Don't ever see Beverly Hills Cop 3. Never see it. Just like we were telling you on Facebook not to watch that video of, I'm not even going to say the video's name. Don't ever watch that video. Don't watch this movie.
I probably,
Good.
I don't have time to watch those things because I have too many other things to catch
Quality
up on.
things
So,
that aren't
yeah,
Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yes.
But surprisingly, in Beverly Hills Cop 3, Bronson Pinchot reprises his role as Surge. And he comes back and just completely ruins any sort of goodwill or, if anything you felt about the character, how impressed you were with him. It now becomes a parody of itself. I mean, when I saw Beverly Hills Cop, I remember, I was a kid. I was like all of 13, 14 years old at the time it came out.
Yeah.
But I knew Eddie Murphy. I didn't know any of the actors. Now, look, I assumed, of course, John Taggart and Billy Rosewood were played by actors, Okay. And actually, I probably was familiar with Judge Reinhold at that point. But I didn't think Bronson Pinchot was an actor.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a dude who he really worked at that place and they gave him some money and wanted, right? Come on. And also, I'll add to that Damon Wayans part. You remember him? Here, take those bananas.
Oh.
Another guy who I swear, that guy probably works at the hotel and they just put him in the film. Got him to sign a waiver, gave him,
Right.
whatever scale is.
Free copy of the VHS later. Right.
Now, we later see Bronson Pinchot in Perfect Strangers. When he returns for Beverly Hills Cop 3, though, no. It's a parody of himself. This doesn't seem grounded at all anymore.
What about Judge Reinhold? When did Fast Times
82.
At Ridgemont High come
So a
out?
couple years before.
82. Okay, so we had already
If you had
seen
seen it.
that.
Yeah.
He was
before
established,
Beverly
yeah.
Hills.
I'm glad to see them back. I love that character, Billy. That was a great character, how it had those little twists in there where you think he's just a milquetoast and turns out he's, this gun nut. He's like the most prepared for the circumstance and most excited about it, too. All right, finally. What's that?
Oh, Kelly's back. Kelly's back, taking a break from the cheesecake.
Awesome.
No cake, though.
Hope you're making enough. We all get our own little cheesecake. Just a little
teeny.
one. Doesn't be big, like this
Teeny
big. Little
cheesecake.
cheesecake. We'll take it.
All right, hey, finally in another 1980s news, per comicbook.com, it feels weird saying William Zabka, doesn't it? We didn't grow up with William Zabka. We grew up with Billy Zabka.
Billy.
But I respect that because I was a Billy once, and then I was a Bill, and now I'm a Will. So
Yeah.
I guess I have to respect it. Okay.
Or Reed in some cases.
Or Reed. All right.
Reed Richards.
So we'll say William. Okay. Per comicbook.com, William Zabka suggests a trilogy of films will be coming after Cobra Kai's conclusion. So exciting news, guys. The 5th season of Cobra Kai just dropped on Netflix. And comicbook.com's Chris Killian spoke with the show's cast, including William Zabka, who plays, of course, he originally played the heavy Johnny Lawrence in the first film, and now he plays, anti-hero or another hero?
He started heavy even in this series, and then he, I don't even say he softened. I think characters moved around him to the point that, watch the show, I have to tell you that. But yes, definitely. I love him in this, but I love him. Look, he had such a small role in Karate Kid, but in this, like you get to meet the character and get to know him and his foibles, and Karate Kid is great, but the Zabka character is awesome.
Yeah, it definitely seems there's a lot more depth to him.
Yeah.
We learn why he,
Absolutely.
his backstory that got him to where he was as of the Karate Kid,
whole
and sort of, his demise since. Well, it doesn't sound like Ralph Macchio or William Zabka is ready to say goodbye to their characters once Cobra Kai's concludes, whatever that may be. Because in fact, Zabka during this interview teased that he's ready to make a trilogy of films as soon as the show ends. After he joked that Cobra Kai didn't have an ending planned. Zabka clarified, quote, "There's an end game. Everything's pointing to a place on the map for sure. It's a matter of how many we're going to get to do that. But there's definitely an end game," end quote. I'm sure he's referring to how many episodes, I suppose, that they get. And then he seemed to joke that, quote, "We're going to end the series, and then I think we're going to do a trilogy of films," end quote.
That's kind of big. That's big. A trilogy of
that's a lot
films?
Karate Kid,
And keep in mind,
huge.
that's the star of the show talking. That's not the financiers saying we're doing a trilogy of.
I don't know.
He would certainly be willing to, but why wouldn't you? First, why would you end the series? I thought 5 was going to be the end, but now it sounds like maybe not.
Maybe they
Keep
don't
going
know,
with a
yeah.
6, I guess. But look, they have a following. It's clearly fun.
Yeah.
They found the secret sauce to like revive that in a way that it makes sense and it's entertaining. So sure. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you would think at this point, and I'm surprised it took them till 5. I was frustrated at first that it didn't have by season 2, that the two of them, the main characters, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka play, didn't come together already. But spoiler alert, it's not happening until last season, I think, was the first season, right, where it sort of happened. So I don't know. I feel like at this point, now that they're together, they're going to run out of story.
Well, you look at the cover art of the latest season and it's got them on one side and then Kreese and the Cobra Kai folks on the other side, like the bad guys. And they're part of this dichotomy of now he's over there with, with Ralph Macchio. He's also a good guy. You're right. They came together.
For his part, Ralph Macchio has also teased that there's some early plans to explore more of the Cobra Kai world, saying that the show offers all kinds of spin-off opportunities that could possibly include legacy characters such as an origin story for Pat Morita's Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi prequel, I'm in.
Yeah.
Preemptively.
Yes. I think that could be cool. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because he had a torturous backstory. He had a horrible, loss of his
Right.
wife and his family, and that he didn't want to talk about till he was drunk once on sake. Yeah, but there's an emotional grounding there that really anchored Karate Kid.
Right.
And to see more of that, hell yeah.
We get to see a young Sato, right? If they're in their village in Okinawa.
Oh, right. Oh, yes.
Whatever that
That's right.
tension was, building up to that.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, Ralph said, quote,
yep.
"We're not done as long as we're given the opportunity to really bring it in, as long as it evolves organically. These guys that write the show really have their finger on the pulse of that," end quote. This has me thinking. Now, this is a movie that became a show, and now Zapka is suggesting maybe it would become movies again. But are movies or shows that become movies ever satisfying as a movie? Or maybe more specifically, this type of show, could this be satisfying as a movie? Because now we've got, I don't know, how many episodes are in a season? 8, 10? So you've got 8 or 10 hours of a story versus a 2-hour movie. I don't know you can go backwards like that and it be as rewarding for the audience.
Well, unless, as you said, Will, if they've actually run out of runway with story to tell.
Yeah.
When we watch Netflix stuff, we binge it now, and we're like nobody want to watch a 10-hour movie? Are you kidding me? Want to binge 10 hours of TV show? Hell yeah, right? You can do that. But if you really, sometimes streaming shows feel like fluff. A couple of episodes are like, did you need all that?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, where we're exploring the characters, I think we needed that longer form. But if you are running out of story to tell with these characters, going to a movie means you can have tighter, more impactful stories and do dramatic change, because you're not trying to keep it the same from season to season or episode to episode. You can have, characters die. You can have characters coming in, whatever. You can do more in a movie, I think, with a bigger budget. That's going to be more impactful if you are at this point in the franchise.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Let's see. Oh, Kelly says there's only one Mr. Miyagi, and that's Pat Morita.
Right. She was wondering who would they get to play.
I don't know. Probably,
Casting is key.
Yeah, they'll probably get a Caucasian guy and do it with CGI. I don't know. Put dots on his head. Knowing how Hollywood works, right?
Oh, gender twist. Mr. Miyagi's a lady.
The multiverse.
No, by the way, don't do that. I'm kidding.
All right. Hey, that was 1980s news.
I have to admit, I missed part of what you guys said because I think my Wi-Fi got a little funky. But
nothing.
what did you say about
Nothing that will stay in the show.
Will said he's uncomfortable on Facebook, and does anybody like him? That's what we want to know.
Does anybody like it?
Oh, is that what he said?
That's what I asked my wife before bed at night. Does anybody like me?
She called to ask me, do you like Will? We're looking for one. Do you need one?
Hello, John. Oh, damn it.
You hung up.
Hey, look, if you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe, do all those things. Any ton of those or any number of those are free and cost you nothing. And you could have done it already because we've been chatting for like a half hour.
Why haven't you?
Yeah, right? Do it now.
Oh, Kelly likes all of us.
Oh,
Thanks, Kelly.
thanks, Kelly.
It's only important you like Will. That's what we're looking for. Do you like
Yes.
Will specifically?
All right, hey, look, we're going to give away a book here, and then we'll finish recording the show here. All right, so here's how if you want to win Diane Franklin's new book here, which is the Better Off Dead movie tribute book. Now, Diane surprised she crashed our 1980s trivia just, a week or so ago, the trivia that we do every month.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah, such a sweet lady. And talented and had been in tons of iconic 1980s films, including this one that she wrote about here, the Better Off Dead movie tribute book. Okay, so hey, if you want to win this book, this is what you need to do. In the comments now, if you put hashtag Diane, Diane, we have a little magic tool that'll pick a winner. All right, there we go. Okay, now folks are coming in with the hashtag Diane. Okay, here we go. All right, let's draw this.
I want the book. I'm just not eligible. That's why there's
Exactly.
there's no John.
Let's see.
Hashtag Diane.
All right, Tombstone won.
All right. Tombstone's been with us since the beginning of this episode.
Yes.
At least.
Thanks for hanging in there, Tombstone.
All right, Tombstone will reach out to you on Facebook to find out where we can send a copy of Diane's book to you. And if you'd like to hang out with us during our next live podcast, which is in October, and have the chance to win Ralph Macchio's new book, Waxing On, The Karate Kid and Me, follow us on Facebook, where we're known as 1980s Now, just like the name of the show. Okay, hey, in a moment, we'll be right back with our guest today, the lead singer of Emarosa, Bradley Scott.
I came here in a time machine that you invented. Now I need your help to get back to the year 1980.
For nearly a decade, our guest has been the lead singer for the popular band Emarosa. Collaborating with the band's founder, E.R. White, our guest helped move the band away from hard rock to become leaders of the alternative world. Their wildly successful breakthrough album, Peach Club, claimed top spots on the U.S. Billboard Top Rock Albums and Billboard 200 charts, launching the band on a sold-out nationwide tour. And now the band is poised to release a follow-up album that combines the influences of the pop, synthwave, R&B, and alternative music we love from the 1980s. You can already download their tracks Preach and Attention. And this week, on September 15th, the band will release another 80s-inspired track, Stay. Follow Emarosa on Facebook to learn how you can hear it. Please welcome to the show, Bradley Scott. Hey, Bradley. How are you?
Hello. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. It's great to chat with you. We're always so very excited to chat with folks that are, I want to say, keeping the 1980s sort of alive and going.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We were, let's say, fortunate enough to grow up in that era of that pop culture, so we love it. So, but to see other folks continuing to make music that emulates and films. Last week we were talking about TV shows and movies that are set in that period. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're glad, we're excited to not only that your group is doing this, but that we're chatting with you tonight.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So, look, you don't need me to tell you, but for folks who don't realize,
sure.
As long as Emarosa has been a band, going back, what is it, like 15 years now, 16 years?
Yeah, long before me.
Long before you.
Right. Oh, wow.
It's changed sound. It's changed singers. It's changed between you and you have the longest, you know this lead singer that's been with the group for the longest.
Yes.
And except for ER, I mean, there's no other originals.
Yeah, it's ER and I now. We're the solid duo, and we've honestly been even before Peach Club. Him and I were the original, like as far as like the longest, the longest reigning defending champions of the band.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious as the band evolved, and obviously you can't speak for ER and pre you. Mm-hmm. But it's curious to me that, how the sound evolved. It was like a post-hardcore, post-punk thing early on. And then somewhere, it seems like when you got involved, there started to be a transition and a move towards the music you're producing today.
Sure. Like you said, I can't speak for before me, but I've been in the band and doing this for almost a decade now. And so originally joining, I tried to stay true to what the band was known as. We put out a record called Versus that was, what felt like a natural progression from their last record, which had come 4 or 5 years prior. Sure. And then we kind of shifted more towards alternative rock, I would say. And we dabbled in what, I kind of wanted to do. But I didn't really think that the band was the place for that because there was such a strong foundation of fans that wanted rock music, which was fine. I respected that. And then after that, we, did a lot of touring, and we just, and maybe it's just me, but it blows my mind because I don't know a lot of people that like the same music that they listened to when they were 10 or 15 or 20 or 30. And they're out there, you have your novelty that you're like, oh, I love that. I love that band. I've loved them since I was 10. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, maybe if they keep making the same record over and over, you love that. But for me, I don't love the same music that I even loved 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Like my taste changed. So to imagine a band just making the same music for decades, centuries, it feels, it seems a little backwards to me. So we took a huge risk, and I went, pretty all in on us kind of shifting our sound, and it paid off. And the last record we did, Peach Club, it's full 80s. I mean, the 80s influence is there. It's loud and proud. Yeah. And and then on the new singles that we've been putting out, again, like very, very George Michael, very like and very Michael Jackson, and I am unapologetically diving headfirst in. So the change was, it did happen in what I think is a a smooth progression from the past decade to now. And there's still old fans that, maybe hadn't listened to the band in 5-10 years, and they think, oh, this isn't Emarosa. It's like, not the one you remember.
Yeah. I think they would almost, hang it on you. Oh, well, they brought this guy on 10 years ago, but you said, Versus sounded very much like the earlier stuff.
And that's fine. I'm comfortable being the catalyst for that, because as the lead, when you're the front man for a band, like you take the brunt of everything. Like everything is your fault, and all the good stuff and the bad. It's all your fault. So it comes with the territory.
You make a great point. You guys, John, Kat, I don't know if you could relate to this too, but like I'm just thinking of, like, one of my favorite groups that I grew up listening to was the Beastie Boys, and 1986 or early. Let's go all the way early when they were a punk group when they started out. But by the late 80s, Paul's Boutique sounds nothing like their, Licensed to Ill, and every album was like, let's try something. They were still hip hop, but different. Yeah, you're right. If they kept doing Licensed to Ill, I probably would lost interest at some point. I would have outgrown them. Yeah.
History does repeat itself. Obviously, there's like the past, I would say 5 years, there's been such a resurgence of that 80s influence and it never really went away. But it's been more dominant, I think, lately. And that's everything with fashion. You mentioned before, movies and music. It's just the natural progression of things. And we're at a great time where I remember it so vividly, and it's been such a part of me and who I am that I'm a big fan of what's happening.
And it
awesome.
It does seem like an organic evolution as you look at Versus and 131 and Peach Club. It does seem like that. Was it, and I guess I should say, look, I'm kind of an asshole when it comes to this stuff, because I am the guy who wants to be a custodian. I want to say I'm a custodian, not a gatekeeper. But folks who love the music organically and want to carry it on, I'm all in favor of. People that say, well, I see a trend here. I can make some bucks. But you're saying it was sort of an organic thing.
It was, there was a song on 131 called Helpless, which is like the most like pop, dancey, out of pocket song on that record. But that was one of the first songs that I wrote when I joined the band, or we wrote when I joined the band. And so it was always there. And the band kind of hung out for like 4 years doing nothing but writing. And so from a listener standpoint, you hear this record and then you hear this record and you're like, oh, they just changed on us. But there's years of writing and progressing as a fan of music and as an artist. And that progression happens behind the scenes. You're not live streaming your practices every day. You're not live streaming like what your conversations are with your bandmates or where you want to see the band going. Right. And eventually, I loved making rock records and I loved doing Warped Tour. And as a kid, that was like, oh, I want to do that. You want to do that. And I did that. And we did that. And I'm very proud of that. And then it's like, well, what else could we do? What else do we want to do?
Kind of from the point of view of the listener, but from someone who's a creator, you don't want to do the same things over and over. And as you said, I've done that, and you can do that. You accomplished it, but to tackle a flavor or genre or just a slice, an era, and try to kind of emulate or pay homage to that, that's something new, and it's got to be interesting for you to do, I would expect.
Yeah, very. It makes it fun. I don't want to be the band that makes the same record over and over, because that's what our fans want, and that's what's going to sell a record, or that doesn't even happen anymore. So it's like, what is the point of,
Good point.
Like what is the point of catering to, what's going to sell a record when that's not at this point, just make what you want to make, Someone's a carpenter their whole life. Maybe that carpenter wanted to be a dancer at one point. Maybe he wanted to be a front-end web developer. Maybe they wanted to be whatever, but they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be a carpenter. This is what I do. I'm always a carpenter. Like, as a carpenter, you don't want to make the same thing every day. You don't want to make a chair every day. Sometimes you want to make a table.
Yeah.
You need a table. If you started with a table, you need a chair.
Yeah. So we're just, now we're messing around. We're making light fixtures. We're dressing up the kitchen.
Right.
We're trying new stuff.
There's curtains up.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wrestle with this, so we're creators in the podcast genre here. And it's something that we struggle with, I think, because it's this thought of like, well, if you make a show or make a song and the fans aren't there, what do you do? Could you continue to just do what you feel like? I feel like this is right and true to me, and they'll come or they won't come. But this serves my. Is that enough? I suppose.
I think so.
Yeah.
It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to use this as a creative outlet because it brings you joy, then yes, just do the way you want to. If you're doing it because, I mean, you'd like it to become successful. And as from a business standpoint, I don't know the answer, because if I was a better businessman, I probably wouldn't be a musician. But,
you'd be that front end developer or carpenter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how to make tables.
But if you just, you do it. You just do it because you love it. No one's going to be on their deathbed saying, I really wish I changed my business plan to appease other people.
Right.
Kat's favorite band is Duran Duran. Did you catch that Patrick Nagel inspired cover for Peach Club?
Yes, I did. I loved it. Totally caught it.
We had our art director was Jess Severin on that, and she did all of the art. She did all of our tour posters, our ad material, and that was the Patrick Nagel was the reference. When people see that, they think, "Oh, Peach Club." It's like it's very, very much there.
Yeah, Kat, they're thinking Peach Club now. They're not thinking Rio anymore. Get that out of here.
There's a progression of thought that happens there.
Duran Duran. Did they need to name the same? They use the same name twice. How creative is that?
That's not creative. Duran who?
Yeah.
I just want to point out here, speaking of Duran Duran, I could always talk about Duran Duran, but I just saw them last week, Bradley, in Madison Square Garden. And one of the things that Simon said on stage was he was grateful for everyone being there, yada, yada, yada. And he said, you've all been here with us through the great times and the not so great times, because they certainly had a period where they were still making music and they were trying different things, but not all the fans were on board, and not everybody was paying attention. So, but they kept going, and look at them now. So, yeah.
And they're so fortunate to be, and not that they didn't work for it by any means, but they're very fortunate to be at the place where they could make whatever they wanted after. It's like, especially during a time where you were going and buying that tape or CD, you were buying that, and they were in a place where it's like, we do whatever we want now.
Yeah, it's true.
And, then you become this, this kind of legends act, and people go because they want that, they want to be brought back to that experience. I love that.
So you're a young enough guy that you may not know firsthand just how awesome the music of the 80s was, not having lived through it. We know.
Okay.
He's older than you think. He's actually 65.
Yeah. Let me tell you.
In my day. So you appear to be a young virile man, and I'm assuming you're not as old as we are. So I'm really curious what it is. I know why I love music of the 80s. I mean, part of it was that it was just so damn good. Part of it was there's something about the music of that era that for me has a staying power. And I'm curious, what is it? Just as you said, you built the chair and the table already, and that was something you hadn't done? Or is there something about 80s music that spoke to you and made you want to kind of start to emulate that style?
Yeah, that's a great question. First, I think staying power is always a curious thing to me, because I wonder, is there staying power because the people who loved it are still around to bring it up and listen to it? Because, people probably thought there were songs in the 50s that had staying power, 40s, 30s. And it's like, there's not so many people, And I don't know the answer to that, because for me, yes, I love the 80s. Now, I was born in 85. So my youth, though, my mother obviously loved the 80s. Single mother, she was in the military. I remember driving around. I remember it vividly. And I saw this person who made a TikTok account that cracked me up, because all of his videos are of him sitting in the back of his mom's car as an infant. Wow. And like what songs they would be listening to.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And it brings me back to my childhood. Like, I remember these songs. Like I remember my mother listening to like Paula Abdul and Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, and I just remember thinking like, oh, these are like, this is everything. Like I love that. I was raised on like on female powerhouse vocalists, 80s pop, you know, the Whitney Houstons, like even like Pat Benatar. Like that was my favorite movie to this day is still Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, yeah.
And it was only because the kid's name in the movie was Brad. And I'm like,
we just talked to Keith Coogan a couple months ago.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I love that. As far as the 80s go, that's my favorite movie. Yeah. But you know, and obviously Michael Jackson is such a influence on pop culture today,
sure.
but vocally, I remember getting into the band Fall Out Boy when I first started getting into the music, and I'm like, this Patrick Stump guy, he can sing. I wonder who he likes. And it was like, oh, he loves Michael Jackson. Like that's very clear to me now. Yeah. And so for me, that the nostalgia for me has always been like a huge part of me and what I love to do. Yeah. And so it wasn't like oh, this is popular. It's like, no, this is who I am. And now I want to like freely like dive into this. I mean, there is I am not shy at all about how much our new song Attention is a tribute to George Michael's freedom. Like,
oh my gosh. Can I tell you something?
Yes, please.
So please. I listened to 3 of your songs several times over. And but I tried to like just pay attention. What is this reminding me of? What is this feeling like? And for Attention, I wrote George Michael-ish. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And for Preach, it reminded me of there was a Michael Jackson vibe, even with the little ow in there. Yeah, you've got that going on. Also, like something else going on in there, like Backstreet Boy-ish.
Yeah, it's a
like
very
that.
like New Jack Swing. Yeah,
I was thinking that too. L.A. Reid, Babyface, those era of music, Bobby Brown's later stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I love R&B. Like it'd be 80s pop and like 90s R&B would be, you know, the smooth place for me of loving music. So that makes perfect sense. You hit the nail on the head.
Yes. Can I mention, we also had a sneak preview of one of your songs that's not out yet.
Coming up. Stay.
Stay?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, Stay.
Yeah, okay.
And that vibe, Kenny Loggins was coming at me there.
The sax in there, is that it?
There is. The end of that song has a beautiful sax solo.
Yes. Yep.
Sax, but also it's you singing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're doing something with your voice that Kenny Loggins also does, that kind of guttural, like there's something going on in there that
Oh, you said Kenny Loggins and I thought Kenny G because I was honing in on the sax. That's why.
Slightly different.
Yes. Different hairstyle. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, vocally, you think you were doing something different then?
I don't know. There are times where I go in and I intentionally, like I remember doing Peach Club and I was told like, hey, maybe lay off of the MJ a little bit. And so I was a little subdued, but this time there was nobody to tell me that. And so with like Preach and like moving forward on the rest of our new record, I very much like just kind of let loose. And for me and Stay, like the verses, like I can feel very MJ to me.
Okay.
And then, I'm like singing the song in my head right now because they're so new that I'm still like, and after we're done with them, I try not to listen to them because I know we'll have to play them and I will get sick of them.
You don't want to get sick of them.
I'm like, I know I'm going to get sick of these songs.
Go into a trance and channel Michael. Just let it be there, right?
Yeah. So, I do hear like the, especially like, and I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
Kenny Loggins right there. Yeah. Except you. Yeah. I mean,
No, I definitely hear it. I think some stuff, will happen involuntarily because that's just like who my, it just comes up from my childhood and it's just there. It's not like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do, like it just happens. And and then I listen back and it's like, you sound like this. And it's like, great, keep it. I love that.
Don't touch it. I don't want to think about
those are all keepers.
That's
great.
Is it similar to when you're developing the music as well? Again, we had a recent episode. We're just talking about how we talked to 2 filmmakers who are making a movie set in 1988 and how they have to consider all these things.
Yeah.
Are you dissecting your favorite songs for instrumentation, for chord progressions? The fact that you have a sax in Stay, for example, or they use the 808 in Preach. I guarantee that clap is from 808.
I definitely think I'll talk to the producer of the record, Courtney Ballard, who also did Peach Club. Huge 80s fan as well. and we were talking, Peach Club, like we were talking like, let's pull like some Huey Lewis in the News, like, and see what happens. And so we won't like take a specific song like, let's do this. It'll be like, what about this vibe? This is a vibe that we love, or this vibe, or a song will hit me and I'll be like, someday somebody gonna make it wanna turn around and say goodbye. And it's like, I was like, okay, I like that. And I'm like, let's go, let's chase that, or whatever it is. And most of the time for me, it's definitely a female fronted, some kind of pop act from the 80s that comes up. And I'll go through Spotify because I have a terrible memory, and so there's gems in there that I'll forget about, and then it'll hit me, and I'll. It's something about it, just like that it'll wash over me, like, oh, I remember this song and I remember this moment, and it's like
that's a great feeling.
Oh,
too,
there's so much joy in that moment. Yeah,
it's transformative. Something about transporting.
Yeah.
Yes. Transports.
Transportative. I just made a word up. I don't know.
There you go.
I think it's
transmogrified.
I think it's great. It's so cool to hear that story about your mom in the car, because so much of the music I associate too. Same experience. We're a little older than you are, but
we were just talking about that recently.
In the car, and the parents dictated what you heard, and you learned so much music. Thank goodness our parents collectively had good taste in music. I wonder to what extent part of the joy for you is that you have that connection to your mom through music as well.
The first time that I sang, because I was in the military, and so I remember vividly. I got back from Baghdad, Iraq, and I was on leave, and I was home visiting family, and just sang some karaoke. My mom had no idea. My family didn't know that I could sing. I didn't know I could sing. I was just like, "Oh, let's try it."
Oh my gosh!
And sang, and my mom's face just lights up, like she could not believe. And I'm just like, yeah, this is great. And that stuck with me. And I have been, making music ever since, or pursuing this ever since. And so it definitely all ties down to me, sitting in the back seat with, just listening to what she was listening to, and like a hot sun. And like we lived in Honolulu, and I just like, I can just see, driving down an airfield with my mom in the front seat of this Jeep, and I'm in the back, just there's something about that captured me and made me, it made me who I am and what I love.
Wow.
Great.
Is there one song that like comes at you stronger than any others?
That's so tough.
I'm sure I couldn't answer that, so I don't envy you, Natalie.
Asking impossible questions, Kat.
2, 3? I don't know.
Probably something from Janet.
Okay.
Janet was her number one.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember if Rhythm Nation was 90s or 80s. Sometimes it blends around there.
It's 89, I think.
And I would say it's probably that Rhythm Nation record.
Wow.
Nice.
She played that until the wheels fell off the damn Jeep.
Was she doing the dance in the kitchen?
No, just driving around. I would do the dance. I would do the dance with a fly swatter in front of the fireplace.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure she has a VHS of that somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, the next Emarosa music video.
Would love that.
It's got a
great.
That's so your whole arc is amazing. That's so great.
Maybe because you have sax and stay, you can answer this question. Because I was wanting to do an episode about this, but I haven't found the right guest, and I don't expect you to be able to speak. There's no pressure on you. It's a small question.
Yeah.
Talking about the staying power of 80s music, as John and you're talking about, was saxes were like ubiquitous in the 1980s. You couldn't have a song. It didn't matter if it was a pop song, rock song, R&B. There was a sax.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd the sax go? Why don't we have saxes in songs these days?
It's definitely coming back. It's definitely. I mean, we had sax on Peach Club. I wanted sax a long time. It didn't really fit on like a rock record, but I don't know where it went. I think for a while there, it was like record scratches were on almost every song.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like it's shifting. But there's if you can't tell, I've just been diving into TikTok recently because I've learned so many things. But there's a guy on TikTok who that's all he does. He he's a great saxophone player, and he puts saxophone over.
Oh, I watched that guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
puts saxophone over like tons of songs that don't have sax, and they turn out, and it's like, the song's 1,000 times better.
He put like a trumpet solo in like Eminem. The guy plays a lot of brass instruments. Oh, I love that guy. He's great.
Oh my gosh.
I remember I got kicked out of band in high school because I was so bad at trumpet.
Oops.
Ironically, I did not apply myself. I wanted to play drums. I'm like, I don't want this damn trumpet, but
maybe mom wouldn't let you have drums in the house.
I think I was just too scared to like say, I want to play drums. They were like, you're playing trumpet. Okay. Yeah.
So you didn't really have any, it sounds like you didn't say what you needed to, or you didn't have any say? Or?
Actually, I didn't speak out the whole time. I'm like, and when they're doing like first chair, second chair in band and stuff, and they're like practicing the drums, I'm sitting there in my trumpet row, like drumming like what they should be drumming. I'm like, somebody pay attention to me.
I'm a prodigy. Put me in the percussion section.
I wish somebody had just seen my hands or something. I just didn't, I wasn't confident enough to speak up at that point and be like, I should play the drums. I can count.
I could do it.
Yeah.
But then you did karaoke and found your voice.
Yeah.
Years later. Yeah. Years later.
I wanted to play the trumpet in high school until they told me you're going to mess up your lips. And I was like, I had to save those for the ladies.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
I believe you. I remember reading in medieval times, they didn't have the mouthpieces that they did now. And so medieval trumpet players would end up cutting through their lip, and they would end up dying early because of like disease and not to like keep this light, but they would, their lives were shorter because they would often end up getting infected, and they.
Oh my goodness,
that's terrible.
And I remember with the mouthpiece, I'm still like, this is terrible. Like,
where has this been?
Yeah. That guy's rich. That guy is rich.
I play tuba, and low brass only improves your kissing technique. So you're way off base.
And we know tuba's a chick magnet.
It is.
That's why you need the skills, because it really doesn't attract anybody.
Hey, there's nothing like a tuba solo. Next Emarosa album.
Don't put it past us, because I would love to do something. I already told Courtney, I'm like, how do we get a xylophone?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I want an accordion. I want like.
Oh my gosh.
I think that a lot of instruments aren't getting their a theremin. I think it's called.
Oh yeah, with the
yeah.
Go wrong with theremin.
Yeah, theremin.
Yes. It's interesting to me, the contrast of you telling that story about not being able to speak up, when you wanted to play drums, and to think about this quote, at least attributed to you, about talking about attention, the song "Attention," about how you're going to speak your mind, you don't care what anybody thinks.
I think that "Attention" is one of my favorite songs that I've ever been a part of. I really love that song, and I think it's so vulnerable. Because I think everybody wants attention. Like, we're programmed to want attention. And, a lot of people are very passive about it, on their birthdays or something. Oh, I don't like to celebrate my birthday. Like, yes, you do. Like, yes, you want people to celebrate you, to know that you're loved, to pay attention to you, to give you. And I think that I was just like, sometimes you just need that. Good or bad, you want the attention.
So what's the plan here? We know we've got Stay, and folks should check out all of your new singles, including Attention that we're talking about in Preach, and Stay, which is coming out September 15th. Where is the album around the corner?
Yeah, we've got some announcements once we release Stay in a couple weeks. This month, Stay comes out, and then, we're letting the cat out of the bag probably on that day.
Very good. Please, make sure you follow Emarosa. They're available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to keep updated. And meanwhile, there's a link on their Facebook page where you can what do they call it? Not pre-order, pre-save. Pre-save Stay. Bradley, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is wonderful. Thank you.
It's so encouraging that, look, Bradley was born in the 1980s, and he came about this whole love of the 1980s in such an organic and wonderful way. It's not a cash grab, as we found out. So endearing to find out about how he learned about this music through his mother and that relationship that got created, because I can connect to that you know, sort of how my father and I have a lot of songs that I've learned and share because of him and my mother as well.
Yes.
Right. In the same way, Kat and I connect with all the truck driving songs, right? We inherited that from our parents that were like, otherwise we would never have connected with any of the, you know, Red Sovine and stuff like that. Yeah. But I get it. When you're that close to someone and you hear what they love.
Yes.
Until you're late in your teens, maybe you say, oh, that's not cool. But like, secretly you're like, if that's what they love and I love them, I'm going to try to love that too. And clearly he has.
It kind of reminds me of, I know I've mentioned this before about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, how much I love it because of the soundtrack. But, you know, Star-Lord, he's got this super special connection with his mom through music. I just can't help but think of
There's
that.
His awesome mix that he has in his tape deck that is,
Or like how Kat and I are connected because she made me a mixtape that mostly she'll like.
Will,
there's at least one song on here that I will definitely not like.
Did somebody say Will's a pessimist? Who said that?
I think I said that earlier, didn't I?
That was you. I'll be damned.
That was you. All I wanted to do, you said nobody ever made you a mixtape.
That's true. That is 100% true.
And I needed to remedy that. And I thought, it's me. I'm the one.
I'm realizing now, I think other people have offered, but I made them feel so bad about the idea that they didn't.
That must be it.
Yeah.
Kat's like, would you ship it back? Postage
I taught
paid.
you, Kat. Why am I doing this as a bit? I love Kat. Okay, and I'm so grateful.
I push away everybody I love.
It's not worth the jokes that aren't funny.
You can keep trying. You can't.
All right. Hey, everybody go check out Emarosa on Facebook where you can find a link to pre-save their song. If it isn't out yet, but it's going to be out this September 15th, so just a few days depending on when you've heard this, you can just go and get it.
We want you to know that our show is brought to you every week, thanks in part to our early adopters like Kathy Burke, Rick Parker, and Karen Flieger.
Yeah.
And thanks especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters, John Henderson, Craig Coletta, John Kaminsky, notice the comma, Marcus Taylor, and our newest Patreon, Tony Great.
Yes.
So great.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you, Tony.
Yes. Thanks, Tony. We are so grateful to have you here. Of course, if you recognize Tony's name, it's because we chatted with him just a short time ago about his new book, Tommy and the Order of Cosmic Champions, which is going to be available this fall. All right. Hey, guys, we will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Next time.
Bye-bye now.